Alright guys, it's your boy Ryan Thomas from failtech.co.uk here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about owning a Core2Duo iMac in 2016. Now, the Core2Duo iMac comes in several flavours. You can get the bright white one that's more of a square display. You can also go on to the aluminium construction with a black back that's also got a black edge around the outside, and that is quite a square display. But the one I'm going to be talking about, and although what I'm going to be talking about kind of links to those, I'm mainly going to be talking about the first of the aluminium unibody with a clear black display on it. So I will show B-roll and you'll know exactly what I mean, but it's the one with the pure silver, pure aluminium construction. It's really good, and it's kind of the last Core2Duo, but at the same time the first of the new shape. Okay, so first I want to talk about the money. How much do they actually cost? Well, I got mine for 450 quid about 2 years ago, so you can probably pick them up for about 400, 350 pounds right about now, which is a really good price. Obviously, a Mac with these specs, Core2Duo, that's not a lot. But I'm just going to tell you and explain why I think this is actually kind of worth it. Okay, so first off, it's a Mac. They are expensive anyway. 350 to 400 pounds isn't that much for an iMac. That's a hell of a lot for, I guess, what it is, but maybe not, as I'll go into. Okay, so this one is spec'd up with 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM, which is already quite good. I would call that a low-end kind of gaming PC grade amount of RAM, so 8 gigabytes of RAM is just fine. And it's DDR3 as well, which is weird to be linked to a Core2Duo. It's a 3.06 gigahertz, obviously dual core being a Core2Duo, and it's a pretty good CPU, to be honest. It does well. It's almost like the Pentium, like the highest end Pentium that you can get, and that's actually pretty good. So in terms of day-to-day tasks, it's actually a pretty good processor, and I would not fault Core2Duo. In fact, some of my friends have actually had Core2Duos and Core2 Quads, and those are really good series CPUs, and they work just fine, even being as old as they are. Okay, for graphics card, it's got a NVIDIA 9400M 256MB card, which is a decent card considering it's not onboard graphics, so it's got to drive that 1080p display, which we'll get into in a second because that's very important. But it's a decent enough card that you could do a little bit of Minecraft if you wanted to, or some light gaming, and it would work just fine. Okay, for storage solutions, this thing does have a 500GB hard drive built in, and it's what I'm going to go into in the pros and cons, but I would go with that hard drive because it's decent. But if you've got the technical know-how, or you can just afford to go and get someone to replace it, you need to get a new SSD. I would recommend an SSD over anything. The reason I say you need the technical know-how and the expertise or the money is because you have to actually take out the whole display and the whole display assembly to get behind that and to actually change the hard drive instead of it being a simple clip system. Okay, so you're also getting a DVD drive on the right hand side that can burn DVDs. Really cool. It's a slot loading one, and you don't see a lot of those nowadays, but if you wanted to, there's one right there for you. And also an SD card reader, because I find computers lack SD card readers nowadays. I use SD cards for everything. As you guys know, this camera uses SD. I use my MacBook Pro SD, iMac SD, and I have an SD card reader in my main computer. Okay, and on top of that, it actually does have a fairly decent 720p webcam on the top, which is actually about equivalent to a low-end Logitech 720p webcam. It's a decent webcam, and it's just, what you can use for Skype calls. Maybe if you got good lighting, create a few videos on it, but it's actually quite good, so you can use it for Skype calls, FaceTime, anything of the like. And finally, the most important thing to me is the display. It's a 21.5-inch 1080p display, which on the face of things, you can get those for about £100. But then I would go on to tell you that it's IPS, which is just incredible. This display on this Mac that's, much older than any other really of my computers, has the best display on it. Bar my Retina MacBook Pro has the best display on it. It's IPS, so color representation and color reproduction is amazing. Viewing angles, so that's when you're viewing so you've got the screen here saying you're viewing it off axis. Absolutely perfect. The whole display itself, I think, is just a marvel. I know that kind of sounds weird, but this iMac's from late 2009, so that's 6-7 years ago now, and I'd say 6.5 years, and it's crazy. The display is just amazing. You usually pay about £150 for one of these displays in this quality, so that already being in a computer of this price is actually really good. And I want to say that this isn't really part of the spec list, but I would just have to say the size. Now, everything can be wireless. You only need one wire. That is the power lead. Everything else can be wireless via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And that means that it's very minimalistic, and it takes up hardly any space on a desk surface. So if you want to use one of these for work, it's absolutely perfect. So like I said, you can't really be doing very graphically intensive things on here. Also, the hard drive's a bit slow, so if you can upgrade it to an SSD, if not, it's still fine, it's still a hard drive, it's still a decent hard drive, and you've just got to wait for it to kind of spin up to be able to work to its full potential, so no fast boot times or anything. But yeah, emails, word processing, light gaming, if you know you're a teacher or you do work kind of like that, or maybe you're just a student, then this would be a perfect computer for you. And obviously, being a 500GB hard drive built in, there's nothing to stop you partitioning that into 3 different partitions, putting Linux, OS X and Windows on it, because of course you can install Windows, it's perfectly reasonable, you can do it as long as you pay for the license. Linux is completely free, and I would recommend actually installing Linux on here on a partition, because I love Linux. Although I don't know too much about it, it's just my friends Harry and Ron have just kind of pushed me towards it. Would I own one? Well, I do own one, and it's really, really cool. It costs £450 at the time, which I think is just perfect, spot on really, because you're getting, like I said, a 21.5 inch brilliant 1080p IPS display, you're getting a decently laptop spec computer inside, you're getting a webcam, and you're getting the ability to pretty much place it anywhere with its wireless capabilities and its form factor. So there we go guys, this gets the full thumbs up from failtech.co.uk, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.